Hey guys, welcome back. What's up? So today, this one's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to do my best not to make it too long. But what I wanted to talk about is going to be in regards to some of the most free-to-play friendly characters in the game. Now, these are not necessarily going to be, meta breaking. They're not going to carry you in high stages of World Boss Ultimate. Some of the ones who are tier 3able or can be transcended won't necessarily carry you against Null and Mephisto or GBR. That's not my intention. These characters are really and truly going to be best used for things like Shadowland and low-level World Boss Ultimate. When you're newer in the game, especially, that is very important because you can farm a lot of materials from those two game modes. So there's only going to be a few characters that I'm actually going to elaborate on. So we'll just go ahead and dive on in without further ado. So some of the first characters that I actually want to mention, because I feel that they're pretty solid and they are free to play friendly, is Iron Hammer. Now, he's not the strongest free to play character, but he is one of my favorites. Again, he's free. You can get him from the bio selectors. You do not have to spend any kind of crystals or money or anything like that to farm and build him up. I like him because he has a heal on his third skill, and he, I think, has a very straightforward rotation. So some of these characters, sometimes, especially when you're new, there's a little bit of button mashing, and it's part of the learning process. But I think that he actually has a really good rotation, and he is good. He's a good learning tool. Speaking of which, another one who's good for the same reasons is Morgan Le Fay. She has a heal on her third skill, I'm pretty sure. Third skill, second skill, I forget. But she also has a revive. So after you kill her, she does come back, and if you're playing with her, you get another shot. That is a really, really helpful ability, especially with some of the content that you'll use her in. She's almost like an evil version, a little mini version of like Jean Grey. When I first started playing this game, Jean Grey was the meta, especially in PvP. And the first time I ever actually beat her in timeline battle, she revived, and I'm like, oh god. But now she's not nearly as strong, don't get me wrong, but she does have some of those same properties. She does have a heal, she has a very good rotation, and she does have a revive. So some of the other ones, so there is Sersi. No, not that Sersi. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, I mean her. She is newer to the game. She's actually the newest character that we've got. It is currently July. We got her back in February, I believe. January, February. She's the latest addition to the game. She's very strong. And she does have future potential. We have the Eternals movie coming out in 4 months, so she'll likely get a rework then. Granted, that will be a uniform that will cost crystals, but her potential has a very high ceiling. A couple other ones, so there is Swordmaster, there's Gorilla Man, there is Bishop. None of them have a uniform. There's Warpath, who is really not... Warpath isn't good. Don't confuse what I'm saying here. But he can get some work done, especially, again, in Shadowland. You have some characters like Red Guardian and Human Torch. Yes, they are better with their uniforms, but can they function without their uniforms? Yes. Red Guardian is kind of nice because his base look is a villain, but his uniform is a hero. So should you spend the crystals, it makes him a little bit more flexible. He's not bad if you take him all the way up and transcend him, which you can see that I have not, but he's not great. But even in his base look, he's okay for Shadowland. Same thing I'll say for Taskmaster. Now Taskmaster is one, should you have the crystals, you should absolutely invest in his uniform, but that's a conversation for another time, and we don't want to get into that. But Taskmaster is another one. There is Viper, Shadow Shell, also Human Torch. They're actually also good for certain world bosses like Ebony Maw. And I will make another video about World Boss, but Ebony Maw, for instance, is vulnerable to elemental damage. And even though I know what you're thinking, poison damage doesn't really seem like something that would be elemental, but in this game it is. Your elemental damage is lightning, fire, poison, mind, and cold. I feel like I'm forgetting another one, but yeah. So there's also one of the other ones is going to be Thing. You do want to go ahead and have his uniform if you can, but again, I'm not going to dive into that conversation. Molten Man and Hydro Man, these are a couple good villains. We got them during the Spider-Man Far From Home update. They're actually not bad, and they're not fun, and they're not fun. They are actually pretty fun to play. Korath is another one. You may remember him from the Captain Marvel movie. Believe it or not, at one time, he was the speed villain meta. Like, he really was the best that we had. So after that, there is Darkhawk, who you can farm. He isn't a bioselector. He's also in the Guardians of the Galaxy Epic Quest. There's Crystal, Shuri, Vision. Now, Vision is one of the ones who you actually can get his uniform for crystals. I do have his Age of Ultron uniform. Well, I said crystals, I meant gold. This is available for gold. I do have that. In case you're wondering, the reason I have him with his base look has to do with the guided quest that I'm doing right now. It's going to give me whatever books that he has. And actually, since we're talking about free-to-play friendly, he is flexible because his base look is Blast. This, which is available for gold, turns him to universal character. So, after that, there is Shuri. There is Cyclops. Cyclops, he's another one. If you can get his Phoenix 5 uniform, he becomes a really, really good leadership / support. I should have talked more about this. Shuri is a phenomenal support. After that, so there is Domino, there's Fantomex, there's Storm, there's Ancient One, who her uniform is now available for gold, and they're nice because it changes their gender. Sometimes you need a Blast female. Mordo, Ulysses Klaue is another decent one. I can clear some Shadowland with him. He's not great, but he can do at least that much. Plus, he can be a good support. After that, you have Yellow Jacket. Again, not great, although he actually is surprisingly fun to play. And again, he can clear some Shadowland. Now, next one, and I am going to talk about them a little bit more, is Scarlet Spider. Where are you? He is free-to-play friendly. He is good for several reasons. Number one, I talked about Shadowland. Stage 32, I believe it is. And this is where you can get 150 bios. You need a SpiderSense character. SpiderSense characters, and actually, you know what? Since we can do this now, these are your SpiderSense characters. Spider-Woman is premium. Spider-Gwen, that's a uniform. Spider-Man Peter Parker, that's a uniform. He is trash. He's really not even good with his current uniforms with Far From Home, but he is a tragedy without it. Well, Iron Spider from Infinity War is not bad, but that's still crystals. Miles Morales is usable, but he's not that good. At least not unless you get his symbiote uniform. Again, crystals. And even this uniform is crystals. There is Spider-Man 2099, who's actually pretty good, but once again, premium character. Silk. Silk, what can I say about Silk? She's not good. And then that last character, in case you're wondering, that is Arachnite. He's available from the Heroic Quest. He's really not a necessary buy from the Heroic Quest. I'm probably going to do it here pretty soon, just because I can spare the crystals, and I'm kind of OCD about collecting characters. Really, he's the last SpiderSense character that I do not own. Do I need him? Absolutely not. But I do want him, and I do think that he's a pretty cool character. And for those of you who might not be aware, Iron Hammer is one of these too. This Infinity Warps. Basically, they just combine two characters into one. Obviously, this is Peter Parker, and it's also Moon Knight. Now, I think I forgot to mention there is Scream and Scorpion. Those are a couple other, good free-to-play characters that are also... Yes. Anyway. So, Scream and Scorpion, those are a couple good free-to-play characters. They're also good free-to-play villains. Which villains, especially free-to-play villains in this game, are very few and far in between. Now, Daken, I'm going to put an asterisk on him because he is a premium character who is technically farmable for free. When I say technically, I don't know why they did this, but in these missions, so I can run this and, excuse me, but he does not have a 100% chance of bios. So you would have to run this mission sometimes 20, 30, 40 times to get all 10 bios per day. It is a pain, but it can be done. Because he is the son of Wolverine, he does have a heal. So, in those healers, like Wolverine, like Daken, and we're talking about somebody who has a native heal. Red Hulk has a native heal. Base Red Hulk is really kind of bad, though. But when they have a native heal like that, it can be nice. It does make them a lot harder to kill. You have some characters with the heal, like Jean Grey, for instance, but her heal is not triggered, automatically. It's something that happens periodically, which it can make her more tanky, but it can also make her a little bit more inconsistent. Then you have some characters like Iron Hammer, like Morgan Le Fay, like a lot of characters who they have a heal, but it's a heal on a skill. So if you get guard broken and you can't use a skill, then it becomes much harder. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So I mentioned Scream, I mentioned Scorpion, I mentioned Daken. Couple honorable mentions. They are technically free, but they are kind of a pain. is Nightcrawler. Where are you, Nightcrawler? Oh, duh. You can use his base look. It does work. He's fine. Even his uniforms are not great. Usable, but it's not great. Um, he is farmable from Danger Room, and he is farmable from, used to be the lab, now it's the crafting system. So if you've never looked at the crafting system, I will go ahead and show you that. And that is actually right here. So these are all bios or X genes that you can farm from here. So you have Cyclops, you have Storm, you have all those. X-23, Nightcrawler, and Kid Omega are characters you can only get here. Kid Omega is a special one, and I'll talk about him here in just a second. Now, Bishop, Angel, I don't think I mentioned Angel earlier, but yeah, he's one too. So Bishop, Angel, and Warpath are available here in your dimension missions within the shop. So they are much, much, much easier to farm. Now, Kid Omega, I said I was going to talk about him here in a second. 34? 33 or 34 of Shadowland. You need a Phoenix Force character. Your Phoenix Force characters are... Now, there are a couple other ones that I could potentially get. I do not have Magic with her Phoenix 5 uniform. I have her, I just haven't bought the uniform. Then there's also Emma Frost. And I don't own her. But these are some of the characters that are available. Now, Jean is not free-to-play friendly. She is behind a crystal wall, and she's expensive to build. Namor is premium, and you need his uniform. Colossus is semi-premium, and you need his uniform. Cyclops, you need this uniform. Kid Omega is the only one who is 100% free to play and does have that ability. Now, he's not going to be easy to farm, don't get me wrong. Danger Room again or the crafting system are the only two ways that you can get his bios. For now, I really hope that they do change that. Rachel Summers is a Danger Room exclusive character. I did not buy her when she was out, and now I'm trying to build her the long way. Really, I need a 5-star ticket for her. And 5-star tickets are hard to come by. But yeah, so a couple of the ones that you really, really, really want to build up for Shadowland is Scarlet Spider and Kid Omega. And you know what? Let me go back to Scarlet Spider because I forgot to mention something. So Scarlet Spider on his own is actually a really strong character. I have seen one-shots with World Boss Ultimate, like higher levels of World Boss Ultimate. So we're talking like 50 plus. I never figured out how to do it, but I have seen it done. But even better, is it this one? Yes. His passive, allies with SpiderSense. So they increase damage to supervillains by 35. Sorry, superheroes by 35, supervillains by 40. And he also does increased skill damage and bonus damage. This is anybody with SpiderSense tag. So not only is he a good standalone character, he is a great passive for these characters. So if I'm running Shadowland and I really just don't want to deal with this and I want to make it easy, I will run Spider-Man, Miles, and Scarlet Spider. The three of them, Spider-Man can do it on his own, but if you don't get the timing right on some of his skills, he can struggle a little bit. Miles is really just not good, at least not with this uniform. But anyway, but you put the three of them together, that passive from Scarlet Spider, they will kill that stage. No problem. Now, when I play it personally, I usually use Spider-Gwen, sometimes Spider-Woman, and I just solo it with one character, and sometimes that's just because I want a little bit of a challenge, but you don't have to do that. So, those are a couple characters that I did want to specifically point out was Kid Omega and Scarlet Spider. Especially for Shadowland, they are invaluable. You really want to have them. Last thing, and I will mention, these are just some honorable mentions. Captain America with his 3099 uniform. Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow. Now, do not mistake what I'm saying. They are not great. They cannot clear high-level content. But they are better than the base look, and they will clear some low-level content. And they are farmable from the story mode. It used to be that you could only farm one uniform per run, and they changed it. To my knowledge, you get all three of them upon your first completion. And it's not even a full story mode, if I remember right, it's just Dimensional Clash. So that's something that does actually help, and I think the developers did that on purpose. They wanted to illustrate that those uniforms can vastly change the character. And basically everybody that you're looking at right now, it does. It changes them from a heaping pile of garbage into an actual usable character. Almost everybody that you're looking at right now, I think Mystique is one exception, because she doesn't have a uniform, but everybody that you're looking at on my screen right now, the uniform is vastly transformative. Again, I'm getting a little bit off topic because I said I wasn't trying to talk about uniforms in this video. The uniforms that you buy, it really depends on your account. Who do you want to build? Who do you want to use? Are you actually chasing the meta in this game? Because if you are, then there are very few uniforms that you're actually going to want to buy. But I don't want to give you that advice. I don't want to try to make those decisions for you. But that's my list. I think at some point I may make another one just specifically centered on your free-to-play supports and leaderships, because those are very important. Just to give you an example, is Agent Phil Coulson. Where are you? Coulson sucks. But he gives increase to supervillains, specifically to hero allies. Coulson is the dude in the back hyping you up when you're about to get into a fight, but he himself cannot take a punch. When you're earlier on and you don't have that much cooldown, this is also useful for you as well. But Coulson is almost 98% just the support. But again, I think I'm going to try to make another video just based on some of the supports and leaderships and characters who would be good for you in that aspect. That you're going to build them not because they're good, but because they will make other characters better. But I'm going to go ahead and conclude it here. That is everything with my free-to-play list. Because this list is so extensive, I will go ahead and put this in the description. If you do have any questions, feel free to hit me up either in the comments below, or you can message me on using the contact information, which again will be in the description. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one.